I have a bit of a story that takes place at an elevation of 1,837 feet in a place called Deadman's Pass. If you're here for shooting, there isn't much. However, I do have some interesting Texas history tidbits, and I will share some Texas treasure that may be well over 7,000 years old. Stick with me through some amazing scenery in one of the last frontiers in the United States. This trip was super short notice for me, with the possibility of culling some wildlife. My buddy Coley invited me literally the day before, and how could I say no? On the menu, cullbucks, does, mountain lions, yes, you heard that correctly, mountain lions, fallow deer, and possibly some hogs. We headed along a place known as Deadman's Pass, between one of two crossings of the Devil's River. Deadman's Pass, or Deadman's Run, saw many travelers expire in the 19th century from wild mountain lions, highwaymen, and rogue Native Americans. These days, you still don't travel here without a gun on your hip or a rifle slung over your shoulder. This is still the Wild West, with threats such as massive mountain lions, two-legged coyotes, or the occasional military-aged male, or terrorist, creeping into our country. It seems not much has changed in the last few centuries. Still untamed, an open country, perilously dangerous, is what I'm documenting here. Beauty is almost always accompanied by danger. I wasn't able to video it because I was trying not to get us killed, but our first adventure was driving up Hell's Hill to get some alfalfa to some wild elk. Let's just say there was a few pucker factor moments on this 45 to 60 degree incline. Once on top of the massive hill, you could see the deadly edges of the two-track we were scurrying along like donkeys in the Grand Canyon. Large rocks, trees that cut you, cactus that impales you, and a fall sure to crush your spirits, break your bones, and take your soul. You begin to understand the biblical naming of these treacherous passes. Even hell has beauty. It's not difficult at all to imagine cowboys and Indians, or even highwaymen roaming these hills and rocky paths. It amazes me how the white-tailed deer and wildlife just don't twist an ankle or break a leg. I suppose they do. Become an easy snack for a buzzard or a hawk. I was able to snag video of two bucks dueling over mating rights or territory. At one point during the battle, they fought, they locked horns. We thought they were goners, but they managed to undo it. The rocks are one thing to deal with. Another worth mentioning is the thorns. Picking up my brass and later digging around an ancient Indian mitten, I sliced up my hands pretty good just touching a plant. I guess it's all about agility for the furries. The free range aspect of this place is refreshing. This open range is just a great place to recharge one's batteries. I wonder how these brakes are going to hold up going down that steep one. Coming full circle with the harshness of this land, a deer which was shot by the owner, we were helping him get it and climbed up the hill, and by the time we got there, a hawk or an eagle, we couldn't tell which, pecked off one of the ears completely. And that was before we could get up the hill to get it. That was some sort of pterodactyl, I guess. Those things could definitely find a baby and fly off with it. So this was one of my first hunting locations, other than like in the morning, which was just outside of our cabin. But we had to drive about, 9 miles to get to this spot here. I was told there's no cows on this property, or not supposed to be any cows here. As you can see, I mean, there's holes all over in the fences, and I guess people don't really believe in having fences, delineating properties and stuff. So things tend to end up where they're not supposed to be. And you'll see that here in a second with some cows that wander right up underneath me. Also, cell service was pretty much non-existent out here. I've got some pretty nice radios. Those weren't even picking up any towers in the area. I spotted these massive hogs. They were about 220 yards away. I kind of texted and had to wait. I wanted a green light to see if I was okay smoking those guys. And sure enough, by the time I got the message saying to take them, they'd scurried off because I had some doe walk in on me. Here's one of those cows. They're like licking everything. So I was helping my daughter with homework the other day, and one of her assignments was discussing what the conquistadors did when they came up. Coronado, Nate, all those guys. And anyway, in search of 7 cities of gold, Fray Marcos de Niza climbed to the top of a hill to get a better look, where his guide Esteban was killed by angry Zuni villagers. He would later tell Viceroy Mendoza and conquistador Francisco Coronado a tall tale of hilltops made of gold and other Indian riches. The largest Spanish army ever assembled was sent to retrieve that gold that was never there. Fray Marcos would later be sent home in disgrace. While studying this a week before my trip, I wondered how some murderous idiot would mistake the top of a hill as reflecting gold. Well, about 6:30 every night, the sun hits just right, and the tops of the hills are a magnificent gold color. And here we have 2 bucks going at it. They're trying to mate with some female does. I believe that was an Axis doe down there. I don't know what she was getting in on that for, but anyway, I think she thought they were fighting for her. Got an older and a younger buck there, and this finally results in the older buck losing his right to have some fun this morning, and he scurries off. But check out that Axis buck. She's like, doesn't know what to do. Dude, that's so crazy. What's that one that's prancing around? Is that the that's a Axis? Yeah. At the end of the last day, I was sent out beyond a caliche pit. There was a spot that I was going to try and hunt, and kind of ran through the Devil's River or creek or whatever it is. But I found some interesting history on that I thought I'd share with you guys. Like I said, this place is just rich with historical significance. So anyway, kind of enjoy that if you want to learn something. Deadman's Pass. The narrow canyon marks a remote and perilous section of a road traveled from San Antonio to El Paso and on to California following the gold rush of the 1840s. Adding to the hardships of a journey that took several weeks, this particular area was notorious for wild animal attacks and raids by Native Americans and highwaymen. Also known as Deadman's Run, the feature was named by 1849. An ambush on Dr. Lyon's wagon train that year ended with 2 teamsters and an unknown number of Indians dead. In 1850, a group met a similar fate when they turned back from Beaver Lake and passed through here en route to San Antonio for supplies. 4 teamsters were killed in the encounter. The U.S. Army attempted to protect travelers on the hazardous road when Fort Clark and Inge Hudson on the Devil's River, 10 miles north of here, in 1857. However, dangerous conditions continued for many years. My wife usually does that. In a Texas Pioneer freighter, August Sandelman, 1845 to 1911, enumerated several dozen civilians and soldiers killed, and 7 others who perished here one day in 1858. The pass was considered dangerous as late as the early 1880s. Santoben chronicled several deaths in the area over a 40-year period, totaling nearly 400 in southwest Texas. 2 similar topographic names nearby recall the risks of the 19th century travel. Dead Man's Creek rises 2 miles southwest of this site and flows southeast to the Devil's River, while Dead Man's Canyon begins a mile to the northeast and runs west to the Pecos. This path, that later became a stage route for Ozona and then a state highway 163, is today remembered as a treacherous frontier road. So where does the Devil's River get its name? Though early Spanish explorers named the river after St. Peter, it's said that the settlers who followed in their footsteps regarded the waterway and its surrounding terrain as so forbidding that they thought it could have been carved by Lucifer himself. This place is so cool. I just found an arrowhead not too long ago. It's not a great one.
If I can get that.
Also, just a super quick side note. This is the first arrowhead I've ever found, so I was pretty excited about it. So I found that little guy in what's called a small burned rock midden. It's basically where the, I guess, archaic Indians of the time would sit around and cook and make arrowheads, pull them out, whatever. So you tend to find several in one location. Supposedly, if you find the rocks that they were burning on, you can still clack them together, and you can smell the fire from all the way back then. I can't be sure of when this point was made. I am relatively certain it is an unstemmed point. They're relatively easy to make, symmetrical stone tool ranging from triangular to teardrop shaped to leaf shaped or bipointed in outline shape. This type of point is characteristic of adjacent northern eastern Mexico. Triangle points have been made for over 6,500 years, from at least 7,000 years ago, which is 5,000 BC, to early historic times when Indians were living in or near Spanish missions in the 1700s. This unique shape that has been long-lived poses challenges to archaeological interpretation. So why are these triangular points stemless? This long-term cultural pattern of flint-making tradition that was handed down from generation to generation, which logically implies its ties to the region's lithic resources. The stone's main source areas are gravel bars along major rivers draining from the Edwards Plateau and gravel outcrops along the Rio Grande. Flint knappers find such materials difficult to knap, and such materials can be challenging removing kinds of large thin flakes needed as a flake biface blank for stem dart points. Large fine-grained, high-quality pieces are rare in the region. Also, over prehistoric time, those best materials would become more scarce as they were picked over throughout their generations. On a non-historical point of view, the glass I was using, the Vortex HD Furies with the ballistics in them, they're amazing. Just FYI, I use those to glass everything, and I thought I was worried I wouldn't have enough power to pick up stuff far away, and between that and Leopold and some other ones we were using, the glass quality of these is just superb. You can see in the early morning when the sun's just coming up, and you can see when the sun's going down. So if you're looking for a good pair of glass and you want to range some things, this is like literally the way to go. On and near the Edwards Plateau, flint is plentiful and often occurs in large pieces of high quality. So the region I found my arrowhead in is characterized by many different finely shaped styles of stemmed and unstemmed arrow points throughout time. Unstemmed points are uncommon in the central part of the state, with the exception of dart points, often referred to as early triangular points, which date 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. That puts this point about 3,000 to 4,000 BC, during the Middle Age, archaic period. The unstemmed point tradition of the South Texas Plains can be explained as an adaptation to available raw materials. Unnotched points are easier to make out of small, tough material. They're durable, being thicker than delicately shaped barbed and stemmed styles, and they can be resharpened fairly easy while still hafted. If you're a mobile hunter, this tradition is highly practical and efficient to life in a lithic challenged area. Another adaptation of ancient peoples sometimes made battlefield pickups, picking up long abandoned stone tools to put them back into service. Hafted pointed bifaces with sharp edges, the arrowhead, were often used as cutting tools and knives when they weren't being used to bring down big game. There are often 10 defined types of unstemmed dart points in this region and 3 types of unstemmed arrow points restricted to the coast. As near as I can tell, this is a Matamoros triangular dart. For those of y'all wondering about the jacket, that is the Eagle Plains jacket liner from Filson. It's really warm. It got down to 32, and I wore that while we were cleaning the deer, and completely comfortable. It's quickly becoming my favorite jacket, even though it's a liner. But anyway, that has the 100 grams of Prima Loft gold insulation in it. It was designed by the military, traps body heat, and retains 98% of its insulated ability when it gets wet. The cuffs on it and the collar are a wool blend, rib knit, and it cuts the wind. I can't say enough good things about that thing. Well, I hope you enjoyed the history part of this. It wasn't planned. I just took some video and found some neat stuff and found out some neat local history where we were at. But this is my last hunting position. Several things didn't go my way here, and I saw absolutely nothing except for a rabbit. I heard some stuff rustle in the brush, probably hogs or something else, but I saw one thing at a distance, and I think it went down into the riverbed and escaped for the evening. But anyway, enjoy the rest. It's just some pretty footage of the area. You can see those golden hills in the background where the sun's just starting to come down. And before I lost my light completely, I found a kind of a little rock or a boulder about the size of a basketball, about 430 yards away, and there it is right there. I smoked that little guy twice. Anything? Kind of got a dead spot. There's nothing here. There's a rock I'm trying to shoot that's 431 feet away. Looks like it's about the size of a basketball. I hit it. A little bummed. There's not any deer here. I know this isn't my usual run and gun and just kind of shooting stuff, but thanks for stopping by and checking it out and watching. If you made it this far, that's awesome. If you love boring videos and learning about some stuff, hit like and subscribe. So anyway, I actually had a blast on this trip. I don't mind not cleaning what I catch, so some of my best fishing trips were me just wandering around finding seashells and stuff, and that's kind of how this ended up being. Got a deer, and it was a lot of fun. Words cannot express my gratitude being able to come do this.